The playoffs will begin tomorrow with the Pretoria Capitals and the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, who ended at the top of the table, facing off in Durban. Joining us now is the league's commissioner, Graeme Smith. A very good morning and welcome to the AM Report. Thanks so much for chatting to us. It's been an extraordinary season to date. What has been behind the success?
Morning, and thank you for having me. It's been an incredible season. It's always difficult to kind of break it into a few points, but it was, for me, one of the defining factors is the attendance figures. You know, seeing the crowds across the country, that the 6 venues turn out, get behind their teams. I think this year the cricket has been incredible to be a part of as well. I think we've seen some outstanding individual performances, close games, super overs, hat-tricks and hundreds. So I think all in all, it's been a terrific season.
When the SA20 began, there was always a question mark around whether South Africa had just waited too long to actually get a T20 league off of the ground. And you guys have shown that actually globally now, I think it's in the top 3 of T20 leagues. How were you able to achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of our figures and our performances, are showing that we're the biggest league outside the IPL, which is almost impossible to compete with in terms of, 1 billion people in India. I think, we were able to attract, 6 franchises that really have invested and got behind South African cricket and its players. And I think we've seen, each year there's the talent coming through, the platform that gets created for the players just gets better and better. And then, having the best South African players available and getting top international talent has really added to the stature of the tournament. And I think with a lot of the things that we wanted to achieve in terms of rebuilding, franchise cricket in South Africa, starting to compete with the global game, get some gravitas back. And seeing new fans come to our sport, I think, has been one of the most exciting things. The amount of people I walk into that are watching their first ever game of cricket, which for me is amazing.
I know that every game in Centurion has been completely sold out, and a number of venues around the country have been sold out in the regular season. Have you guys had record attendances in this 4th season? Have you seen more people through the gates than ever before?
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of at the halfway stage, we were tracking sort of over 25% up on ticketing. So, I think it's the fans. I mean, last night in Paul on a school night sold out. So, just incredible things. And I think people are having a wonderful time in the stadium when they're coming in there. There's a lot of entertainment. There's a lot on offer for a very low value ticket price. And, I think people are just really getting behind the tournament. What we wanted is to create a tournament that South Africans were proud of. And I think that we've managed to do that.
When you guys announced the franchises, there was a concern that we are literally just transporting and transposing and putting onto South Africa an IPL identity. But it seems as if the South African public have actually embraced the Super Kings and the Super Giants and the Royals and MI Cape Town. Even though they are IPL brands, they've kind of made it South African. I mean, it's quite interesting how that shift has happened, because those concerns are no longer anywhere in anybody's, nobody's even thinking about them anymore.
I think they've become household names. Obviously, they're global brands. They're some of the biggest franchises in the game of cricket. And I think, it's a real asset for us to have them here, because they really do get behind the players. They invest in the players. They bring best practice in terms of business and, medical, fitness, coaching. So the exposure that they bring for our players is incredible. I think, obviously, for me, you can go to PE and, St. George's Park, and the whole stadium's orange. And, it's like that around the country. It's just the way that the fans have embraced and got behind their teams and support their teams. There's, for me, surprised me. I thought it would take a little bit longer, but it's been unbelievable how that fan loyalty has grown and developed. And, now there's 4 teams left in the playoffs, and you can feel the tension around the fans and how excited they are that that their teams are there.
So you guys have already got a Schools SA20 league. When are the ladies going to get a professional T20 league?
Yeah, look, I mean, it is a hot topic. We're obviously working with Cricket South Africa on this. We took the grassroots program, so we've got over 700 schools, girls and boys, and we invest in under 19 camps to try and support the pipeline for Cricket South Africa. obviously for them, they've been trying to work on growing their domestic program for the ladies. And post this tournament, we'll sit down with them and figure out how and when we can, get that moving.
So it's something that you guys are actually looking at doing, would you say, in the next maybe year or 2 years?
Look, it's not all in our hands, so I don't want to make promises that I can't deliver on. But I do promise that it will be a very big discussion point post season 4, and we'll sit down and see how we can get it going.
What lessons can Cricket South Africa take from what you guys have been able to do? There's no doubt that there is a hunger, there is an enjoyment for the game of cricket in the country. But over the last couple of days, we've been seeing reports from Cricket South Africa about not having as much money as they had hoped to have at this point as they build up to next year's World Cup. So a concern around the amount of money that they've been able to make from the game. You guys have been able to show that you can put on something that appears, certainly from just anecdotally, to be rather profitable when it comes to cricket. So where's that disjoint happening between what you guys have been able to achieve and where Cricket South Africa are unable to kind of turn that excitement that South Africa has for the game into funds?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a misconception that it's. I mean, I think the important thing for people to know is that SA20 is a part of Cricket South Africa. Yes, we operate with a slightly different team and so on. It's a big project. And Cricket South Africa has their own domestic products as well, plus international cricket. I think there's 3 internationals following SA20. But, we very much won and we work together to grow the game. I think where SA20, Betway SA20 has been a huge success is that we built it. We wanted to build it for South African cricket to strengthen the player group, revive the cricket fan, bring new fans to the game. And I think we've been able to do that. And also commercially, we've been able to add a substantial amount of money back into Cricket South Africa that gets reinvested back into the game of cricket. So I think from our perspective, we've been able to achieve the goals set out by Cricket South Africa. And yeah, we work together to try and grow and see our national teams performing well. And, with the World Cup around the corner, it is a huge time for South African cricket. In 27, we host an ODI World Cup. First time we've hosted a tournament, I think, in 20 years. And it's a huge opportunity for cricket in this country, and we need to get it right.
I'm going to ask you to take off the hat of League Commissioner and put on your hat as a former Proteas captain. How you're anticipating South Africa will do at the upcoming T20 World Cup, which is now just a couple of weeks away.
I hope very well. I mean, I think there's certainly enough talent. There's been 1 or 2 injuries of late that it'll be interesting to see, how they rejig that squad. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conjecture around the squad, and that's good. It means there's players pushing for to be in the final 15, that people are very interested in the performance of the Proteas. And I think, certainly there's enough talent in that squad that they should be competing in the last 4 and hopefully going on to win. And in the last T20 World Cup, they lost in the dying stages to India. And, I really would love to see them go one step further. I think a lot of our players now have a lot of experience of playing in India through IPL and touring for South Africa. So I think we also have a good middle order that has a lot of power, ability to play spin. And, if we can get the balance of that 11 right, then I think we have a real chance.
Okay, so we've got 2 injuries to the squad that was announced. Who do you put in place if we've got 2 injuries?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot this morning. But, I mean, look, I think, there's a number of players that have been bandied about that people thought should have been in the squad or shouldn't have been in the squad. We've seen Othniel Bartman have a great Betway SA20 again. He's got to be a name that they're looking at. Obviously Ryan Rickleton, with Donald Ferreira being injured, he's probably one that you would talk about as a backup wicketkeeper batter that would be in the squad. I think, certainly those are 2 names off the top of my head that come to light as people that should be sort of the first names on the list.
Graeme Smith, League Commissioner for the Betway SA20. Thanks so much for your time. I know that there's a lot of planning because we're now at the knockout stages. The final going to be taking place on Sunday in Cape Town. So thanks so much for your time.